If you're watching this video, you'll be operating a locomotive on my railroad. All movements on my railroad are controlled by the dispatcher using a CTC system. This means we follow the lights. You don't need to talk to the dispatcher for clearance. If you have a light, you may proceed. Here we have a train waiting at the Binghamton East Junction. A junction is a collection of lights that protects a collection of switches. This is a very simple junction. It has only one switch and 3 sets of lights. The lights are organized in masts. There are 2 lights on each mast. The simple instruction is if you're at a light and it's double red, you have to stop. If there is a green or yellow light on the mast, you may proceed. There is only one mast that applies to a train when it enters a junction. In general, the masts will be to the right of the locomotive as it proceeds. The exception is simple sidings like this, where we put the light on each side so each track has its own light. Details that you don't actually need to know is what it means between a green and yellow light or it being on the top or the bottom. If a green or yellow light is on the top, that means the switches are all in their normal position and you may proceed through at full speed. If the green or yellow light is on the bottom, that means there are switches that are thrown and you must proceed through the junction at restricted speed. Green light indicates that the next light you come to will also allow you to proceed. A yellow light indicates that the next light you come to will require you to stop. As an engineer, you'll be handed a schedule. You will follow the schedule. Top line is your name of your train for talking to the dispatcher. The next 2 lines are the origin and destination of your train, which may be on the layout or off the layout. The blue column contains your station stops as you proceed down the track. Most of these will have junctions, either at the station or at either end of the track. Where you are, you keep track of that with a paper clip. We move it down there, and it's important you know where you are, especially when you're approaching towers. So I always like to say you can't screw up on my railroad. Reality is, at these towers, this is where you can really screw things up. As you operate your train, you'll come down your list and you'll wind up seeing your LB tower or CF tower or BA tower or any of the other towers. These are important places. You really, really have to pay attention to the lights at these places. This is LA, LB, and LR towers. Which one it is depends on your card, that's all. This is a set of lights that protects 5 switches. In this case, we have trains coming down from the hill. It's labeled the hill, and as soon as you see your train arrive in this upper area, stop. All right, here we have coming from Nineveh, coming from Windsor, and coming from Waniana. Again, as soon as you see your trains in those areas, you have to stop. I only let 1 train through here at a time. This dispatching software is set up to only let 1 train through here at a time. If you see 2 trains moving in the junction at the same time, stop, something's wrong. This is a camera on the U towers. Like the L towers, everything's behind the scenes. Again, you have to pay attention to the lights very carefully here. You will also need to let me know when you're clear of the junction. Here we have the C towers. The track is actually behind those 2 buildings. We've got 2 double sets of lights protecting this junction. It's a double crossover, so there's 4 switches in there. Again, just like the U towers, you need to let me know when you've cleared the C towers. Here we have the B towers. Again, this is an important junction. I'll only let 1 train through here at a time. You need to let me know when you're clear of the junction so I don't throw the switches out from under you. This is Nineveh. It is probably the largest junction on the railroad. It is a Y and critical to the operation of the system. The lights are all set at the entrances to the Y. You stop before entering the Y. I call this area the Christmas tree because there's just lights everywhere. This is where the Southern Tier District of Conrail crosses the Wellsboro and Corning Railroad. The Wellsboro and Corning Railroad is operated by the Delaware and Hudson. Conrail's not particularly happy with the Delaware and Hudson because it has trackage rights over its railroads and it grabbed the short line. So they will only let the Wellsboro and Corning cross Conrail tracks when it's a scheduled mainline freight. If you are switching in Corning, you are never ever allowed to cross this junction just because Conrail doesn't want you to. For switches, the closest one is for the Wellsboro and Corning branch. The pair that is to the right of the tracks next in line is for the two sidings on Conrail. In the back, we have the inbound from the Wellsboro and Corning on the left and the Conrail on the right. Here we have the departure tracks and their lights from the staging yard. These are all single light dwarfs. Red means stop. The light to the right of your locomotive is the light you pay attention to. There are a couple of places where the lights aren't working quite the way I want. These are the yards for one. You will be receiving verbal authorization to leave. But if the light is working, you can take a look down here and you can see that track 1 is allowed to depart. You can use those lights if they're green. If they're red, then you may have to get a verbal dispatch. Corning is the other place that's not fully signaled. We have signals for the main and the siding at Corning, but the interchange track, which is the track all the way to the right in this picture, is not signaled. You will need a verbal dispatch to leave Corning from the interchange track. So this is the dispatch control panel right here. You can always look over the dispatcher's shoulder to see where your train is and what your clearances are. Where your train's located, occupied blocks are red, clearances are green, and it shows the signals and what colors they are. The things you really need to remember on this railroad are the signals protect the junctions. Double red means stop. At each junction, only one of the signals applies to you. That's the one you follow. The towers are of critical importance. When you see that you're approaching a tower on your schedule, wake up, look for things, keep your eyes open. When you clear a tower, let the dispatcher know. And that's it. Hope to see you soon.